Alright, hopefully the lighting and angle and the audio and everything is good, or at least tolerable. I don't have a high tech producing studio. Honestly, I have a GoPro on a tripod that's sitting on top of a computer chair to give it some height, and that's really all that I have, aimed at a marker board that I have here on the wall. So nothing absolutely high tech for sure. But today is going to be the first part of a series, I would call it, where I'm going to talk about nutrition. And this first video here is going to be just on the basics. Just to give a little background about myself, I'm a personal trainer through the ISSA, the International Sports Sciences Association, and I'm a CNC, or a Certified Nutritional Consultant, through the AFPA, the American Fitness Professionals and Associates Organization. So through those two, I have a lot of good hands-on experience of working with people both dietetically through nutrition and physically in the gym through resistance exercise. And the majority of my education, research, whatever you want to call it, is going to be more so specifically for sports nutrition, specifically athletes, physique athletes, strength athletes like powerlifters, bodybuilders, etc., etc. Any kind of sport where performance is optimal. So I guess that would be any sport, if you think about it. Anyways, what we're just going to cover today is just the basics. This video is also probably going to get watched by some people who I would consider like health and wellness clients of mine, where they're not so much focused on lifting weights or being athletic. They're just kind of wanting to lose like 50 or 60 pounds just to get back to a healthy lifestyle. And I totally get that. Right after I graduated high school, I gained quite a bit of weight, just being real lazy, not really doing anything. Gained a lot of weight, and I got up to about 253-ish pounds, somewhere in there, 250. And then I ended up losing over 100 pounds over the course of a year and some change, a year and 3 months or so. And then I got really involved with bodybuilding and just weightlifting in general. And since then, I've put on about 40 pounds. I'm about 190 right now from the 150. Obviously, it's not all muscle, but I've made quite a bit of change in my body, kind of a complete 180 from fat and lazy to very active and very aware of what I'm eating and everything. So through that, that's kind of where my life's passion is right now, is specifically being a fitness and physique coach. But also through learning the basics, you guys as the health and wellness clients, what I would consider, will also have a very general understanding of how to manipulate your nutrition to reach your specific goals. So I want to talk about the two main questions that you always get as a nutritional coach. And that's going to be, how do I lose weight and how do I gain weight? Because there are people out there who are overweight, and they're very concerned with losing weight and getting healthier. But on the flip side of that, there are plenty of people out there who are very skinny and are looking to gain some weight. Just as being overweight, dramatically overweight, isn't good for the body, being dramatically underweight isn't good for the body either. And so a lot of those, what I would call skinnier guys, turn to lifting or bodybuilding specifically, to try and put some muscle on, right? Get jacked and tan. And so through that, those two things do kind of go hand in hand, as you're going to see here. Obviously, you have to have a goal in mind, whether you're trying to lose weight or whether you're trying to gain weight. And so we're just going to cover the basics real quick and just kind of give the new guys maybe something to learn, and some of the old guys a refresher. Because one thing that bodybuilders are notoriously, I would say, consistent at doing is forgetting the very basics. That goes both in the gym and in the kitchen. So forgetting the basics is honestly a huge problem. So maybe some of the old guys could use a little refresher course as well. So before we get started, the first thing that I want everyone watching this video to do is the very first link in the description box of this video is going to take you to a website that's going to give you what's called an EER calculator. I will put the link in the description to the one that I specifically use with myself and the one that I use with all my clients. And what I want you guys to do is fill out the information on that calendar, or on that calendar, sorry, on that calculator. On that calculator, what you're going to do is after you fill out all those steps, you're going to come up with a number. And that number right here, I'm going to put in the center in a square, because this number is going to be the number one contributing factor to being able to reaching your goals, is knowing what this number is. What is EER? EER stands for Estimated Energy Requirements. And what your estimated energy requirements are is it's a rough estimate of the amount of calories that you burn in a day from the time that you get up to the time that you go to bed. It's also commonly known as TDEE, Total Daily Energy Expenditure. But in all honesty, the EER, the Estimated Energy Requirements, is the latest formula that's used. There's a whole bunch of formulas out there used for calculating caloric intake and just general ideas of your energy expenditure. But the EER is going to be the latest one. It's the one that has come out most recently. There's multiple PubMed articles on the EER formula that you can search for yourself. If you just type in estimated energy requirements, you'll see multiple studies on the EER formula specifically and how accurate it is in estimating your general estimated energy requirements, obviously, your daily energy expenditure. And as someone like me who's very in tune with my body, most bodybuilders are, they're very in tune with their body, and they know roughly metabolically how many calories they're going to burn in a day, how many calories they need to eat to gain weight, how many calories they need to eat to lose fat, etc., etc. And so I found that this has been the most accurate for me personally, since I know roughly that my total energy expenditure is anywhere from 4,000 to 4,200 calories, depending on how busy I am during the day. This one has, by and large, been the most accurate. So what I want you to do is, after you figure this out, we're going to put this in here. And as I just said, mine is roughly 4,000 calories. So I'm going to put that right here in this box. 4,000, and I'll just abbreviate calories. So now, if you want to gain weight, all that you have to do is eat more calories in a day than what this number is. This is what we call a caloric surplus. Nothing fancy there. Caloric meaning the calories that you're eating, surplus meaning you have extra. What happens when you eat more calories in a day than what you burn? Your body goes through the metabolic processes of adding new tissue to the body, both fatty adipose tissue and lean muscle tissue, assuming you're eating enough protein, which we'll get into at a later time. But by eating more calories in a single day than what you burn in that day, you enter a caloric surplus, which gives your body all the raw materials that it needs to grow. To lose weight and lose body fat specifically, if you're eating enough protein, all you have to do is eat or drink. Wow, that was a terrible arrow. Hopefully you guys didn't see that. This arrow here, all you have to do is eat less than that to lose weight and lose body fat. This is what we call a caloric deficit. Same thing as a caloric surplus. Caloric meaning the amount of calories that you eat. Deficit meaning you're in a deficit. You don't have enough to fulfill your daily energy needs. So to give an example, I have a daily caloric expenditure of about 4,000 calories. If I were to eat 3,000 calories in a day, I would have a negative 1,000 calorie energy balance, or I would be in a caloric deficit of 1,000 calories. Where does that 1,000 calories come from? That the body has to use 4,000 calories in a day. I only gave it 3,000. Where does that extra 1,000 come from? And it comes from your body fat. All that body fat is on the body is It's extra energy. The body, the human body got very good at adapting in our very early primitive years. That obviously, when we were like hunting woolly mammoths and shit, like there was a potential that we may go multiple days at a time without food. You know, depending on what the wildlife and shit is doing. Obviously, I'm not a caveman, so I have no idea what they were doing specifically. But in that case, the body got very good at taking the extra energy that it needs and storing it for a later date. So in those periods where we may be in starvation, the body can use that extra energy, aka our body fat, to fuel itself because we're not giving it fuel by eating, so it has to get fuel from somewhere and it takes it from our body fat. Obviously, that isn't the case in today's society. We live in a society where the thought of going multiple days without food, even multiple hours without food, especially for bodybuilders, is like a complete like nightmare and a crisis situation, code red. But the body obviously doesn't know that. The body still knows that the extra calories that we consume, we have to store as fat because there may be a time where we could go days without food, even though that isn't very realistic in today's society, at least in middle class America. So, by knowing this number here, we can manipulate whether our body gains weight or lose weight. If we eat more calories than we burn in a single day, the body has no choice but to gain weight and metabolize new tissue, whether it be fatty adipose tissue, body fat, or it be lean tissue like muscle mass. If we are eating less calories than what we burn in a single day, the body has no choice thermodynamically but to burn the extra energy, the body fat, and use that as fuel. All in all, if you want to lose weight, eat less. If you want to gain weight, eat more. And I'm going to go specifically in how to dial that in specifically so you're not just like starving yourself for a couple days. You can actually eat in a caloric deficit and be functional and live a normal life, which is what I try to do as a coach with all my bodybuilders, because as these guys are getting ready for shows, these guys are essentially starving themselves because these guys are getting to such supreme levels of body fat that they're hardly eating anything in a day. And so the way that what my role is as a coach is to take those few calories that they're eating and optimize them so that they're not starving, they don't feel like they're going to eat their arm off, and they don't feel like they're going to eat, the entire Walmart bakery the next time they go into Walmart. Anyways, all in all, you want to lose weight and lose body fat, eat less. You want to gain weight and gain muscle, eat enough protein, which I'll talk about at a later date, and eat more. So now where do these calories come from? Well, the calories that we take in for our energy come from everything that we eat and drink. For those people that are drinking like pop, milk, juices, alcohol, all of the calories that come in those things, they all count. Even though it's not the food that you ate, it contains caloric value. So by taking it in, you're giving your body a plethora of calories. I know people who drink like 6 Mountain Dews a day, and they probably take in like 700 calories just through fluids and not even eating like any actual solid food. And then the solid food they are eating is like McDonald's and chips, and that's how people get fat. Anyways, quick little rant there. Just want to get off to the side. The calories that you give are taken through your food and your drink. Anything that you put in your mouth that contains calories counts towards this number. So a very simple thing is to just get an app on your phone, a calorie counting app. The most popular one is MyFitnessPal, and everything you put in your mouth, whether it's a food or it's a liquid, type that in, get a rough idea of how many calories it is that you're taking in, and just try to make sure that at the end of the day you're less than this number, the number that you calculated on your computer or on your phone at home. So where do the calories come from within our food? So now as we look into our food choices here, you'll see as you look into the nutrition label of a food that you'll have a total amount of calories, whatever, and then you'll have a total number of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Okay? To find this number, the amount of calories that go into something, you need to take these into consideration. The proteins, the carbs, and the fats. These are what are called macronutrients. There are only 3 of them: protein, carbs, and fats. Macro means major, and everyone knows what nutrients means. So protein, carbs, and fats are your macronutrients. They're the major things that compose of your food. And to figure out how many calories are in something, it's a simple math game. Say you eat something and it has 5 grams of protein, 25 grams of carbs, and 10 grams of fat. Through bound calorimeters and all these other processes, we know that 1 gram of protein contains 4 calories. Protein contains 4 calories per gram. Carbohydrates can also contain 4 calories per gram. Oh, I lost my tip. We'll just set this here. And fat contains 9 calories per gram. So now, all we have to do is do a little math here. 5 grams of protein in that food, there's 4 calories in a gram of protein, 20 calories. 25 grams of carbs times 4 calories in a gram of carbs, 100 calories. 9 calories per gram of fat, there's 10 grams of fat, you get 90. And then we do the math. 20 plus 100 is 120, plus 90 is 210. That food contains 210 calories. So just to recap, the calories from your food come from these 3 things here: proteins, carbs, and fats. I'll have 3 separate videos that come out after this. Each one will be talking about each macronutrient specifically. I'll talk about what these macronutrients specifically do within the body, what you should know about them to optimize the choices that you make, and then some suggestions of the choices you should make. For example, if I want to get 80 grams of fat in a day, where should I get that fat from? And I'll give you suggestions on all 3 of these macronutrients for what I think are the best sources. Obviously, those sources are going to be more specifically geared towards bodybuilders, strength athletes, athletes in general who are looking like, say, football players. But if you're just a general health and wellness client who wants to lose some weight, just look into things like if it fits your macros. Just type that in on Google, if it fits your macros. And they'll talk about how to lose weight, you don't really have to eat like boring foods like broccoli and shit. You can eat whatever you want, just as long as you do the math when you eat something. And as I said before, make sure that your total caloric intake is less than your EER, that number that we calculated. But as far as going into the recommendations for carb sources, protein sources, and fat sources, it's going to be more specifically geared towards athletes, physique athletes, and bodybuilders, because that's what I do, and that's my passion. So that's what I have the most research going on, is manipulating this stuff for athletes specifically. All in all, this is really just the basics. The main thing that you guys need to learn from this video is you just have to eat less than what you're burning in a single day to lose weight, and eat more than what you're burning in a single day to gain weight and build muscle. It is literally that easy. And I see all these people all the time, like people that know me from high school and stuff, that always ask me, like, man, you lost 100 pounds, how do you do it? And I try to explain this math game, because literally all this is math. And for whatever reason, they don't grasp it. And I see them sitting there drinking like these greens juices and stuff, and I'm like, oh, why are you drinking that? They're like, oh, it's healthy. But it's got 50 grams of sugar in it, and the whole thing has like 500 calories. And that's where these people are gaining their weight. Literally, manipulating your body composition, losing fat, losing weight, gaining muscle, and gaining weight, it's all a math game. You just have to keep this number constantly in your head, make conscious efforts, and pay attention to what you're eating and what you're drinking, and make sure that the total numbers at the end of the day are greater or less than that number, depending on what your specific personal goal is. All right? Next 3 videos, we're going to be talking about proteins, carbs, and fats specifically, more in depth on each one. And then the last video is going to be where I talk about how to set up a diet. Now that you have all the information of what fats I should eat, what carbs should I eat, what protein should I eat, how should I structure my meals throughout the day to make sure that I'm getting in the total amount of calories that I need, while at the same time optimizing my performance in the gym. All right, guys. Hope you liked it. If you're interested in online coaching, nutritional or training coaching, I have a link in the description. Also, guys, check out those links in the description that I put for your calculator and the PubMed articles for the EER. I really think that EER is far superior to TDEE as far as calculating the total amount of calories that you burn. Because obviously, at the end of the day, if this number isn't accurate through the calculator, like that's really what matters. If you really actually burn 2,000, but the calculator tells you burn 3,000, and you end up eating 2,000 calories and wonder why you're not losing weight, you're probably going to give up. Obviously, that's a very big exaggeration, but at the same time, hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. So yeah, we'll talk about protein, carbs, and fats, then we'll talk about how to set up the diet specifically and structure the meals. Obviously, that's going to be more for the bodybuilders and the physique athletes. Yeah, hope you guys like that. Hopefully you stay tuned and watch the other videos. I think there's a lot of good information in that you guys could learn. So yeah, take it easy.